message and I'm shooting it off to Claude, and it says, create a team called Neuroflow of 3 teammates using Sonnet. The first one is a front-end developer, the second one is a back-end developer, and the third one is a QA agent. So this now invoked a tool called Team Create. And you can see that what it's doing is now that it's created this team, it's spawning up 3 teammates in parallel, and these are all individual agents. So right now we can see we have our front-end developer, we have our back-end developer, and we have our QA agent. So what's happening is right now we have these 3 agents working together with our main session. They all share a task list, they can talk to each other, and I'm gonna check back in with you guys once this is done. Okay, so this is really interesting. The front-end and back-end developer sent work over to the QA agent, and then the QA agent found 3 critical issues. So the main agent said that it's gonna send all of this work right back to those first 2 agents to take another pass at it. So here's where you can see it sent off those messages to the front-end developer, the back-end dev, and the QA. And now they're all back to work once again. And there we go, the second time the QA agent gives it a pass. All 3 of those critical issues have been resolved. And then it was able to basically one-shot this website. Now, obviously there are some things that aren't perfect about this and we'd want to go back and iterate, but considering in the prompt, all I said was to build me a landing page for a fictional AI startup, and we get all of this text, we get these animations, we get all of this stuff to come in dynamically, and it feels pretty polished. It came up with all the copy, the color scheme, all of it. This is truly one of the most powerful AI agent features I've ever used, but you have to know how to use it right, which is why in today's video, I'm gonna explain everything you need to know, what they are, how to set them up, how to use them, when not to use them, everything that you need. So let's not waste any time and get straight into the video. So agent teams. As you guys saw in the demo, we had one get spun up called Neuroflow. And in that team, we had 3 agents. We had the front-end dev, the back-end dev, and the QA. So what happens is the main orchestrator, the Claude Code session you're talking to, creates these different agents and manages them. But not in the same way that we do sub-agents, because sub-agents work independently and then they send their individual result back to the main agent. Agent teams have a team lead, maybe like a project manager, and it creates all of these different agents and a shared task list. So the huge unlock here is that individual teammates can talk to each other. So sometimes there's a dependency. Teammate 1 needs something from teammate 2, and they can just talk. And you can get in these really cool loops, especially when you have the QA agent, like we just saw in the demo, where one of the teammates will basically say, hey, this isn't good enough, and send the work back. And then the main agent, like I said, is just making sure that the tasks are getting done and that they're all high quality. So that's the big difference between sub-agents and agent teams, and I had to clear that up because I know that's probably where there's some confusion. So I am gonna break more stuff down, but what I wanted to do first is just show you guys how to set this up, because I think the best way to learn is just to be able to play around with stuff. And all you have to do to set this up is add 1 environment variable into your project setting. So let me show you how that works right now. All right, here I am in Claude Code. I like to use it in VS Code, but you can use the agent teams feature wherever you decide to use Claude Code. You can see that I am in a brand new project with nothing in it. So this is exactly what one of your guys' setup should look like if you want to follow along. So like I said, we need to enable the feature, and I'm going to do that in this demo on the project level. So what I'm going to do is go to the official Claude Code documentation for agent teams. And you can see right here that it says they are disabled by default because it's an experimental feature. So you have to enable them by adding this variable into your settings.json. So what I'm going to do is literally just copy this JSON right here and come into Claude Code and say, hey, I need you to put this in our local settings in this project, and then just paste in that JSON prompt. And I'm going to go ahead and shoot that off. And that should basically be able to create that file for us. So you can see that it set everything up. We now have a .cloud folder. If I click into here, we have a settings.local.json, and it has put that command in there. And now our project should be set up to actually be able to use agent teams. Now, before we dive in and I start showing you guys how to do that, there is one thing that I recommend doing first, and that's basically training your Claude Code project on how agent teams work so that they can actually be used as effectively as possible. So the easiest way to do this is you go to the documentation on agent teams, you take the URL and you copy it. And then I said, hey, create me a master reference guide for agent teams in a folder called docs. This will be used to help you build better and more effective agents in the future. And now it's going to read through that documentation. And now if you ever have questions about agent teams, or if it ever needs to look up something while it is building them, it already has that locally here stored as Markdown. So it's going to be much quicker. And it just created this documentation about enabling them, when to use them, display modes, task management, hooks, best practices, tons of stuff like that. And that can be found in the docs folder in this section, which is a full Markdown file with hundreds of lines. And that's just a little tip. That's something that I like to do whenever I have like maybe a big MCP server or certain documentation that I know it might need to look at constantly. So now that we're pretty much set up and ready to start building, let's talk about prompting. How do we actually tell Claude Code to build us agent teams, but not just to build them, but to actually make them really good, to give you what you want? Because the truth about agent teams is that they are more expensive and they're a bit slower, but you do get much higher quality if you use them right. Now, the good news is you can pretty much invoke them just using natural language. So I kind of follow this pattern. Create a team of X number of agents using X model. So Haiku, Sonnet, or Opus. And then you basically just say the agents that you want. You would say, The first agent is X role. This agent should be doing this, and it should produce me this. It can talk to the other agents to do X, Y, and Z. And so pretty much just listing that out in natural language, whether that be an API designer, a database engineer, and or a test writer. So let's take a real quick look at an example prompt. So I'm gonna read this full one out. Now what you'll notice is I start off by establishing a goal. The reason I do this is because when the agents wake up, they have no context. They basically only get the prompt that the main session feeds into them. So if we tell the main agent a goal to give to these sub-agents, they understand a little bit better, like what they're working towards, but also why they have their teammates next to them. So the goal here is to build a working full stack app with a REST API and a React front end. The end result should be a running app that I can view on a local host. It should have users and post functionality plus a QA test report confirming that everything works. So then I said, hey, create me a team of 3 teammates using Sonnet. The first one's a backend dev. It should be doing this. The second one is a front end dev, and it should be doing this. And the third one is a QA agent that should be doing this. You can see that in the descriptions I said, when you're done, message the front end dev. And then in this one, I said, wait for the back end dev's message. And then you will send all the stuff to the QA. And then I'm saying what the final deliverables should be because the main agent spins these 3 up and then it's going to get a bunch of information back. So what do I actually want at the end of the day? I want a running app. I want a report about pass and fail tests. And then I want a doc, which is basically what was built, key decisions, and how we run this moving forward. So we're about to hop right back into Claude Code and live prompt an agent. But real quick, let's talk about some do's and don'ts. So do have each agent own specific files, because if you don't do this and agents are sharing files, they might overwrite each other's work, which is not good. Do define the output. Don't use vague deliverables. Do name recipients. Don't just assume that they're going to understand who to talk to and why. Do have about 3 to 5 teammates. Don't go for massive agent swarms of 10 plus. That'll also be 10 times more expensive. And do give full context because of the fact that no history is given beforehand. Now, of course, they can still read everything in the project. They can still look through all of those files, but no context is fed in initially. And I will show you exactly what I mean by that when we go in here and spin up a new agent team. Okay, so I'm in that project that we set up together. I'm in a fresh session and I'm gonna send off this prompt. I said that the goal is to help me clean up the workspace. We have 3 agents called research team. We're using Sonnet. We've got a researcher, a strategist, and a critic. And they're basically just gonna read through this project and make sure that everything's accurate and make sure that we're set up good. Let's take a look at what's going on. It's creating the